The new stimulus relief package is the most ridiculous bill I've ever read. And I'm not just talking about the fact that how it only grants $600 towards eligible adults. I'm talking about all the other stuff that they wrapped into the bill. Here we get a snapshot of what were some of the things that they wrapped into an American relief bill. So here you can see you have Pakistan getting $15 million for democracy programs and $10 million for gender programs. Then you move down just a little bit for Sri Lanka, up to $15 million for the refurbishing of a high-endurance cutter, which they go on to say is a type of patrol boat. And then you have $453 million for assistance for Ukraine. And these are just a couple snapshots that I was fortunately able to find because not many websites are actually reporting on this. They're getting into more of the actual relief that Americans are getting. We were fortunate enough on the last website that they were kind enough to actually give us the page number for all the different things that they stuffed into our stimulus package. So right here, this is page 1486, and it goes on to say, of the funds appropriated under Title III of this act that are made available for assistance for Pakistan, not less than 15 million shall be made available for democracy programs, and not less than 10 million shall be made available for gender programs. This goes on page 1489, I believe. So international security assistance of the funds appropriated by this act in prior acts, making appropriations for the Department of State, Foreign Operations, and related programs under the heading Foreign Military Financing Program, up to $15 million may be made available for the assistance for Sri Lanka for the refurbishing of a high-endurance cutter, which they went on to say is some form of a patrol boat. And this is on page 1500, and this is the part specific to Ukraine. So it reads, of the funds appropriated by this act under Titles 3 and 4, not less than $453 million shall be made available for assistance for Ukraine. Now, when I first read this entire part of the bill, I said to myself, I have no issue with helping out other countries, especially if they're allies of ours, but we have no business helping out anybody else right now other than ourselves. We've shut down small businesses for months upon end. We're only allowing this little guy to have 25% capacity, whether it's like a restaurant or things along that nature. They can't operate on a profit right now. And on top of that, we're only giving eligible Americans $600 after months of them either being out of work or working less hours because we're limiting the amount of people that can be in their restaurants or their stores. I'll end with this part about the foreign aid and we'll get on to something else, but I think we should focus on cleaning up our own yard before we go snooping around and try and help somebody else clean their yard. We have enough problems here. Let's focus on what America needs right now, and then down the road, once we get ourselves back on our feet, then I think we can start helping out other countries. Before we click off of this page, I wanted to just make a note of it in case you weren't able to see, but this document, okay, this is the newest stimulus deal, is over 5,500 pages long, and I had to stop and talk about this. This is ridiculous. If the average person has to worry about making ends meet, work all the hours they can, put food on the table for their kids, for their family, they don't have time to read a 5,500 page report on what's in this particular stimulus deal. And not for nothing, what's in other bills that government passes. So if you don't agree with where I'm going in terms of the whole stimulus deal and whether we should have bailouts or not, I at least want to have some sort of middle ground on this. I think when it comes to Washington making certain bills, and really any bill for that matter, it shouldn't be 5,500 pages long, because how are we supposed to know exactly what they're putting in it if we can't even read it in a timely fashion? On top of all that, I think this provides government officials with the opportunity to slide anything they want into bills because they know that the average American doesn't have time to read all the pages. I feel that this is the biggest problem when you have a government that's as big as ours. All these politicians, they're beholden to other people, whether it's outside of the government or maybe even in foreign countries. So what happens is they stuff all these things into the bill last minute. Then the other side is obviously going to turn it down because that's not what they agreed on prior to saying they were going to pass the original bill. Now what happens in the media is they'll play the blame game. They'll say, if you're watching CNN, they'll say Republicans blocked the bill once again. Call those representatives. They don't care about you, right? Or you might find it on the other side, right? Saying the Democrats blocked it for another reason. I want to get to the point where we are independent from government. So when the next time they want to try and pass a bill, there's no blame game to play because we're not beholden to them. As a matter of fact, I would love to get to the point one day where they can't even vote on a stimulus deal simply because they couldn't shut us down in the first place. But they obviously showed us that they had the power to shut us down this past time. So unfortunately, when politicians are going to play politics back and forth, they'll keep getting their checks every week. But then you have Americans either starving or not being able to pay rent, all because politicians want to play politics with one another. So basically, we get the short ends of the stick and we're beholden to them because we need them to pass something. So then after they cram everything in, we get so fed up and we just say, just pass the bill. And then you get all this foreign aid. So you have all taxpayer dollars going overseas and not helping out Americans. In the end, I think all these spending packages like the stimulus and the bailouts is just going to hurt us in the long run. And I've already covered in another video, I'll see if I can link it, about how printing money actually hurts us in the long run. But one thing I have to ask, sort of to end this video, is why is it that the politicians always say that they hate the corporations, they want to tax them and all this stuff, but how come every single time we pass a big bill or something along those lines, why does it hurt us and it constantly helps them? I'm really starting to question whether they're genuine about taxing these corporations or if they're just using it for political theater so they can get our votes and keep holding power over us. So let me know what you think regarding this video. Do you think $600 was enough for Americans that need a bailout right now? Do you think that Americans shouldn't have a bailout in the first place and we should just reopen the country once again? Definitely let me know what you think. But as always, I appreciate you giving me the time and checking out the video, and I hope that you'll come hang out with me again sometime soon.